Good morning, everyone. My name is Carol Raven, and I am a CPA here at CPA Canada, working in the guidance and support area. I'm very excited to be here today to be taking you through the 10 healthy habits of financial management. It's going to be an exciting session. Please, it is meant to be interactive, and at any point you do have any questions, please feel free to ask them as we go along. I also will have a short Q&A period at the end, so if you prefer to wait until the end, I'm happy to take your questions then. Let's get started. Today we're going to be looking at what financial literacy is, and in order to do that we're going to draw on some of the conclusions that have been made from the Canadian Task Force of Financial Literacy and drawing upon the work that CPA Canada has done to date on financial literacy. Following on that, we're going to go through the 10 healthy habits of financial management. Some of these you might actually be doing, and if you are, congratulations, that's fantastic. If not, hopefully the discussion we'll be having here today and the points that we'll be bringing up will allow you to get yourselves onto a strong financial platform and to become strong within financial literacy. I want to set the broad context of financial literacy in Canada and why CPA Canada is interested in helping Canadians improve their understanding of overall financial matters. In 2009, Canada's Task Force on Financial Literacy was formed to provide recommendations to the Minister of Finance on a national strategy to strengthen the overall financial literacy of Canadians. The recommendations were delivered to the Minister in a report titled Canadians and Their Money in December of 2010. The task force defined financial literacy as having the knowledge, skills, and confidence to make responsible financial decisions. Knowledge, referring to an understanding of personal and broader financial matters. Skills, referring to the ability to apply that financial knowledge within everyday life. Confidence means having the self-assurance to make important financial decisions. And finally, responsible financial decisions is referring to the ability of individuals to use those knowledge, skills, and confidence that they've gained to make choices appropriate to their specific circumstances. Increasing the level of financial literacy will empower Canadians to make better financial and life choices. They'll be able to plan for the future, navigate major life events, and protect against financial fraud. This will allow Canada to become a strong, competitive, and successful in the absolute global economy. So you may be wondering why CPA Canada is involved in developing modules such as these. As CPAs, we are strongly positioned within the marketplace as this is what we do. We advise our clients on how to manage their businesses and how to effectively manage their money. We are already located within the community, and doing these things is what we do currently, and so who better than to help with this as well. CPA Canada recently commissioned a research study to determine the level of financial literacy within Canada. The results, consistent with the recommendations from the Canadian Task Force of Financial Literacy, were a wake-up call. Canadians need to learn more about financial literacy. Only 22% of those surveyed grade their financial knowledge as an A, and the average grade given was a B-. Although 77% of responders have a budget, shockingly only 32% stick to it. 30% have indicated they've been victims of financial fraud, and 85% felt the youth are not prepared to deal with financial matters once they enter into the workforce. And 50% have not put aside enough funds for retirement. Their main reason they're stating, lack of funds. If you've ever struggled with a financial problem that has been brought on by a bad decision or by not knowing how to effectively manage your money, you know how difficult they can be on your life and on any personal relationships that you may have. Today, I'm going to hand out a financial fitness self-assessment tool that will help you to evaluate where you stand on your financial assessments. Please take a few minutes, fill out the form, and we'll debrief afterwards and go through it. The purpose of today is to make you aware of the 10 healthy habits of financial management. We want to take you through them and provide you with some tips and resources to help you get your financial house in order. Treating your finances responsibly also sends the correct message to your children. They are very aware of both the positive and negative impacts that financial matters within a house can have on a family. They will learn from you, and if you show a positive role model to them, they will show those results down the road. The first healthy habit is to know where you stand financially. It's very difficult to plan ahead if you don't know where you're starting from. It is very important to understand your overall net worth, to understand your cash flow, and to have a detailed budget. Net worth needs to be everything you own minus everything you owe, and you should always be making sure that you're in a positive place and that that is growing over time. Cash flow, the amount of money you have coming into your house on a daily basis or a monthly basis, is a finite amount, and you need to ensure that the outflows are not in excess of those inflows. And using a detailed budget will help you to control your financial health and hopefully give you a sense of control over your finances. The second healthy habit is living within your means, and arguably if you have children, this is the most important lesson that you can teach your kids. You need to walk the walk. You need to make sure that you are not overspending to what it is that you're making on a monthly basis. The third healthy habit is to save some money and pay yourself first. Every month, set up an automatic monthly transfer to a designated account, which can be either a savings account, a registered retirement savings plan, or a tax-free savings account. You will get used to living without this money. Spend only what remains. Make sure you cover all of your overhead expenses first, your rent, mortgage payments, groceries, and any remaining funds you have left over can be your discretionary fund. That's your fun money. The fourth habit is to understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. Good debt is something that you would use to purchase an asset that adds to your net worth. So for example, a house, a student loan. Those are all things that will appreciate and will add value to your life. Bad debt is things like iPads, televisions, things that you want but you don't necessarily have. They have no resale value, and they almost lose that value the minute you walk out of the store with them. So they're very expensive once you factor in interest expense, and it's best to save for these types of purchases. Experts say that you should have at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses in cash reserves, and this is setting up a financial safety net. It's protection in case of a financial emergency. It is deemed, on average, that it will take you an average of 6 months in order to find another job if you were to lose your job. And you need to make sure you've got your insurance all set up in terms of life, disability, automobile, homeowners, and critical illness. The sixth habit is wants versus needs. People may want a new car, a bigger house, the latest version of the iPad, a new set of designer shoes, and they don't need them. Think carefully before you go out and purchase. And do you want that item or do you need that item? Be media savvy. Wants are masquerading as needs. You don't want to sit there and buy a want so that you can't get a need. For the healthy habit number 7, delayed gratification is an important life skill and one that should be learned early. A famous psychological study called the marshmallow test pulled together a group of 4-year-olds, and they were given marshmallows. They were told that if they wanted to have a marshmallow, they could have one and have it immediately. However, if they could wait for a few minutes, they would be allowed to have 2. Obviously, some of the children jumped right in, ate their marshmallow, and there were some that sat back and waited, and they were going to wait for their 2. Some children closed their eyes so that they couldn't see the marshmallow in front of them, and others actually licked the table around the marshmallow, but waiting so that they could have that gratification at a later time. The study followed these children over a period of 14 years, and those grabbers, so the ones who took the 1 marshmallows, were seen to have had low self-esteem, and the perception of them was that they were easily frustrated and that they were prone to envy. The waiters, those who had waited so that they could have the 2 marshmallows, were more socially competent and self-assertive. They were deemed as trustworthy, dependent, and more academically successful than the others. The lesson learned within this marshmallow test was that strong willpower will help you stay on task and meet your goals through your life. When setting goals, there's a far greater chance of success if they are tied to your individual values. You really need to ask yourself, what is important to you? And what are your future goals, and how can you get there sooner? In goal setting, it is important to write down your financial goals. And I get frustrated when people ask me to do this because it's not something I'm comfortable doing. But if you have them written down, you are able to review them with others. You can actually monitor your progress. It makes you accountable for what it is that you're doing. Success is self-reinforcing when you can go back and look on that piece of paper that says you can check off that you've met your goals. And then also in setting your goals, you want to make sure that you've attached them to your values. What is important to you? You can even look around the room today and look at everyone here, and you can see probably what's important to them. What kind of clothes they're wearing, how is their hair done. That will give you an indication of what are the values. You need to understand what your values are in order to set these strategic goals. I'm going to hand out a sheet later on, which is called a values validator, which will help you in understanding what your values are specifically. When setting goals, the more detailed and specific your goals are, the more likely you are to actually meet them. And we suggest using SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-framed. A specific goal would be, my spouse and I want to go on a month-long vacation to Australia. A measurable goal is going to be, I'm going to need $5,000 in order to pay for flight, accommodation, and meals. An attainable goal is, we will travel off-peak season in order to save money on the costs associated with the trip. And a realistic goal is, I'm going to need to save $400 a month for a year in order to go on this vacation. Knowing your limits and your financial capabilities will determine whether a goal for you is realistic. Finally, a time frame goal would be, I want to go to Australia next May, which gives me more than a year to save my money. Setting the time you want to go helps evaluate whether or not you will be able to achieve your goal. Putting all of these elements together, you now have a SMART goal. I'm also going to be giving you a goal-setting worksheet that will help you record your SMART goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-framed. The 8th healthy habit is to track your spending. It's about bringing awareness to what your spending habits. This will help you to understand where your money is going and where there may be opportunities to save or to spend less. It's a great reality check. And you may be surprised to know that there's not a great relevance in terms of what you think you're spending to what you're actually spending. It can be a powerful motivator to make better spending choices in what it is you do. There are lots of tools out there that you can use. There's journals, spreadsheets, there's specific software. There's even apps on smartphones and tablets that you're able to use to help you on this. If that seems like a daunting task to do a whole full-blown budget, you can focus on a problem area. My husband likes to call mine the Starbucks area. The example is the latte factor. At $5 a day, works out to $25 a week, which ends up being $100 a month, $1,200 a year. That is a ton of money that you can save if you're able to make your latte at home, say on the way to work. Using feedback and tweaking your budget will make you more confident in being able to become more financially literate and saving money. For those of you who have children, the healthy habit number 9, saving for your kids' education, is an incredibly important one. The government has set up a program called a Registered Education Savings Plan, an RESP, for post-secondary studies. The money you put into an RESP is tax-free, compounding while funds remain in the plan. Once the funds are withdrawn, they are taxable to the student. There is no annual maximum contribution. There's a lifetime maximum of $50,000, and the government matches you by granting 20% on the first $2,500 of the annual contribution. So, example, for every $2,500 you put in 1 year, they will match you by $500, and that's to a lifetime maximum of $7,200. As with any of your other savings plan, set this up as an automatic withdrawal from your account on a monthly basis if you can't take the one-time hit at a year time, so that this money is put away automatically for your child and you can take advantage of these grants from the government. As mentioned previously, earnings and grants must be used to pay for the cost of post-secondary education, university, and are taxable to the student in the year that they're paid out. There are no tax deductions on contributions, and original contribution amounts can be withdrawn tax-free. What happens if your child doesn't go to university? You are able to repay the government grants, and you can transfer the accumulated income into a registered retirement savings plan, obviously subject to the contribution limits of your child. New in 2011 has been the ability to transfer that amount to a sibling without triggering any tax penalties or having to repay the grants. And finally, healthy habit number 10, present a united money front. Not only will your kids try and divide you as parents for everything, but they'll do it on money too. Show your kids that it is possible to discuss and come to an agreement with money matters. Be on the same page as your spouse. Kids, especially teens, like anything else, will exploit the fact that you're not on the same page and will try and get away with whatever that they can. If you create a shared value in order to set meaningful family financial goals and make trade-offs, your children will learn from this behavior and will be strong in their financial literacy going forward. My kids are 5 and 3 and are already doing this. My 5-year-old, we are trying to teach him about saving money in a piggy bank, and we take his money to the bank. He still will have the ability of coming to my husband or myself, usually me first, and saying, "Mummy, can I please have something?" And I'll say, "Oh, I don't have the money. You need to go and ask Daddy." And he'll run to Daddy, and Daddy will pull his pockets out with nothing in and say nothing. So my husband and I are very cautious to make sure we're sending the same message to our children, that if one of us says no financially, they can't have something, so does the other one. On this page here, you'll see we've listed a bunch of tools and aids that are here. Some of them you'll notice are ones that we've handed out to you today and we've provided to you. Others are links to websites that will be able to take you to locations of places where they'll be able to help you. Please feel free and go and use these sites, as they're incredibly important and very valuable. A couple of resources I just want to bring to mind to you guys that we have done at CPA Canada is A Parent's Guide to Raising Money Smart Kids. It's a great book. It's one I use at home with my family, and I really encourage you, if you have children, to have a look at it. The other resource that we have is the Canadian's Guide to Money Smart Living. Again, another fantastic resource. And please go and check out our section of the website for this information at www.financialdecisionsmatter.com. Well, thank you all for your time and for coming out and listening to me speak about financial literacy. And I hope that we've been able to help enhance your financial management skills and feel more confident about your financial decisions and your financial future. If there are any further questions at this time, I would be happy to take them. And if not, it's been wonderful being here and presenting to you today. Please take a moment to read the following disclaimer that is up on the screen. If you have any questions at any time, please don't hesitate to come and ask me.